What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Tech 1-2 podcast. I'm your host, John Kampas. Today, I'm super excited. We have special guest Eric Torres from Skillpad in the studio talking about compliance and security. So let's get started.
У тебя моя машина.
Баба Яга.
All right, well, welcome to the Tech 1-2 podcast. Eric, thank you for being in the studio today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So you didn't come too far away, did you?
Not too far. About an hour and a half up the road. Come down from Milwaukee. Yeah.
From Milwaukee, okay. Bulls, Bucks? Who do
Bucks,
you have?
diehard Bucks fan. Always.
Oh,
Always.
boy.
Yeah.
I have to say I'm a Bucks fan too, but, born and raised in Chicago.
Yeah.
You got to go Bulls.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. Again, thank you for being in the studio. But
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. I've been in this space for, it's been 17 years now. It seems like forever. Started out working for an MSP in Milwaukee. I spent 9 years there. Started entry-level position. I was a cold caller. All I did was pound the phones 8 hours a day. Hung up on and rejected, and occasionally you have those big wins. And that's how I cut my teeth in this industry, and I chose the marketing side. Part of that was building out my own team and teaching them how to cold call. Got a whole plan on how I did that, and we grew that MSP to be a sizable MSP. Took on various roles and grew within that organization. I started working more closely with the vendor side, improving our processes, procedures, the services we were offering. Left the MSP world, went into the vendor side. I've been there now for 8 years. Previously with a business continuity provider, and now here at Skillpad.
Wow.
Now that's impressive.
Well, Skillpad's definitely been doing a lot.
I
love seeing all the updates and the changes and acquisitions and the developments that you guys have been making.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. This year has been a complete rocket ship. 3 acquisitions this year alone, all in the first quarter.
Wow.
So 3 acquisitions within 60 days. And when that was announced, we were like deer in headlights. That's a lot to take on, and we did it. We did it very well, and we're constantly looking forward and seeing what else we could bring to our partners.
Well, fantastic. I love the knowledge that you can bring, especially with you being on the MSP side
Mm-hmm.
and then going into on the channel, the vendor side.
Yeah.
Some of the things that you saw in the MSP space, what has changed in the MSP space from the time that you were in to what you're seeing from the partner lens today?
Back when I was at an MSP, it was still very much on-site support. And at least in Milwaukee where we were, they wanted to see their engineer. They wanted to know that they were there. And it's still very much like that. They want to see that friendly face, that consistent person. But I think COVID has changed everything as far as we don't need to be there on site. You don't even need your provider to be in the same city as you. Mm-hmm. Remote support has become the way of doing it. And it's, if there's one silver lining from all of the when the world shut down from COVID, it's we can do things remotely. We can run our businesses no matter what business you're in. There's a way to do it remotely and survive and thrive in it.
The world's changing.
It's time we change too.
Yeah, believe it or not, prior to COVID, I believe that you cannot close a deal remotely. Things
Yeah.
obviously change very rapidly in 2020, but
Absolutely.
when you look at the extension of just even the support side of it is, yes, if things are operating the way they need to, IT shouldn't be something that you need to think about every single day. If things are just working, that's good for the client and it should be good for the partner.
If it's not good for you, it's not good for me.
So prior to managed services, everything was done very manual, a lot of mundane processes. When we start looking at technologies, even technologies that you're supporting today, it's more visibility into the overall technology spectrum. I mean, what are you seeing with working with partners on how they're utilizing technology to make themselves a bit more efficient?
The automation, and that's the key word in all of the events I go to. You'll hear every keynote, every presentation is about automation and standardization and really making sure it's a level field for everybody that's involved. Back when I first started on the vendor side, and it still is to an extent, security and backup and vulnerability and things like that. Now what I'm hearing is that shift of how can we automate as much of this as possible so that as an IT provider, you're doing more of the strategic thinking rather than the blocking and tackling. So going out there and discussing with business owners, what's the plan for next year? What's the plan for 5 years from now? What's the future for where this network is going and what do I need to prepare for? Those are the strategic conversations taking place versus, hey, how many tickets did you close for me last month? And those are kind of just reporting metrics that can be done at any point. But it's really the strategy around automation and making sure that, again, the network is just there and working as it should. And nobody likes surprises.
No surprises?
No surprises.
Yeah, we're seeing the same thing. I mean, automation, it's easier said than done, though. I mean,
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
says,
Yeah.
let's automate. But why is automation something that we're seeing a lot more of? Why is it good for both the client and for the MSP or IT department?
I think from we're seeing more of it because technology is advancing to that point, and you're seeing it with a lot of the AI that's out there and building that into the tech side of it. We are evolving almost every other month. There's something new. There's some new feature, some new benefit that's out there, and the automation seems to be the focus of a lot of the vendors out there. From an SMB leadership standpoint, I would look at automation in the sense of knowing that if something happens on a network, something is broken, something needs attention, the automation will take care of that for me. So a lot of times as an end user, you may not even know something was broken in the background because it was fixed before you even realized it.
You think that kind of automation is easy or cheap?
And that's one of the best phone calls to make to the leadership inside of an SMB is just saying, hey, that you had an issue, you weren't even aware of it, we resolved it, and here's what happened, and here's how it was resolved, and that's what further strengthens that partnership. They're looking at you going, wow, you really do have my best interest in mind.
I love you, man.
I love you. I love you. I'm not even embarrassed to say it. I love you.
I'm not embarrassed.
Love you.
I love you. It's like, why don't we say that every day? Why can't we say it more often?
I just love you. I just want to go to the rooftops and scream, I love my best friend Evan.
Like when you went away for Easter on your vacation, like, I missed you.
I missed you too.
I want the world to know. It's the most beautiful thing in the world.
Boop, boop, boop. Come here. Come here, man.
So the tool is going to provide the data, the insights, but it's all about the relationship too, and how you're sitting down with your clients and speaking to them about that. Because the road mapping, people don't want surprises; they want roadmaps.
Exactly.
Utilizing that data to be able to make strategic decisions of what they need to do in the future is extremely important.
When I was back in my early days as an MSP, every business owner they like saying, "Oh, I've got a guy for that. I've got a guy for building maintenance. I've got a guy for my tech side of it." They just want to know that whoever that person is, that company is watching their back amongst all of that. and coming to them and reporting. And it's very easy as a technologist to get lost in the weeds and talk about the too much of the tech side of it rather than the what solutions am I offering you that are going to resolve your challenges. So it is that human interaction and being able to digest that data, identify a problem, and then offer your solution and even multiple options within that solution to say, here's A, B, and C. Here's what this is going to do for you, and here's the long-term play. And that, as business owners, that's what they want to hear. What are my options, and how are you going to address the challenges that we're seeing?
Nothing is more important to me than our future together.
A lot of them don't even know it's a challenge yet. So it's producing that to them too. Hey, next year we're going to have to focus on revamping this or rolling out a new ERP package or whatever it may be.
Yeah, you want to align it with their business outcomes. But when we look at even just on the IT side, I feel like what we've seen is that the extension of what IT and technologists are now responsible for is extended far beyond what was just keeping the network up and running.
Yep.
Now we're talking about compliance, we're talking about risk management, we're talking about all these different things. I mean, what are you seeing in the channel and then with partners that you're working with? How are they handling these things?
It's a lot of unknown on both sides. Unknown from a business owner standpoint of what's coming down the road for me. What mandates are going to be out? What compliances am I going to have to adhere to? What do I need to do to make sure that my data is safe? From a technology standpoint, from a managed service provider standpoint, it is a big undertaking, and being that specialist and knowing the nuances of all the different frameworks that are out there when it comes to compliance, it is coming. It is going to be a mandate depending on your specific line of business, what our government is going to say you have to adhere to. And the ones that are embracing it and looking at this as a good thing and saying, okay, there's a reason for this, and it's for security, it's for safety, it's to make sure that the backbone of my business is safe, the data, the network itself, and embracing it in a sense of knowing that there's change coming and there are things that we have to implement. And if you go back even a few short years, some of the basic security measures, a password, a lengthy password, different passwords, password management, to multi-factor authentication. I remember the first time that we started positioning that to business owners, and a lot of them, usually it's the CEO themselves going, I don't want to go to my phone. I don't want to have this special token that I put in or anything like that. Now it's just secondhand. We don't even think twice about finding, going to our phone and typing in a code or two-factor authentication. It's just common. That's what we're looking at in the future, going, okay, well, what things now are coming down the pipe that are going to be very common from that, from even labeling different confidentiality things on the documents. I'm going through that right now. We're SOC 2 certified at Skillpad, and every document we create has to have a label on it. What type of confidentiality is this? Can it be public? Is it internal? Is it external? Is there any confidential information on here? Social security numbers, data, any credit card numbers, anything within that. And now it's just second nature, just like multi-factor authentication. Yep, creating a doc, here's the purpose of it, and make sure it's saved.
That's a great point. Yes, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, even still today, we have some people that are still reluctant and resistant for some of those security measures. But when you look at even just the policies and the audits, you mentioned SOC 2, we are as well. So we're fully aware of that, that process. But oftentimes organizations were just putting a policy in place just to check that box. There might have been a cyber liability insurance. Maybe there was some third-party vendor risk assessment. And they were just checking a box. But now, with things that are changing, there's regulatory compliance that will get trickled down to the organizations. There will be financial impacts.
Yes.
They're going to have to take some action. But when you're looking at just trying to regulate all these things and stay compliant, you can't just do it with just ad hoc requests, policy here, policy there. You have to be able to manage it. How can someone manage, an organization manage it? We've both gone through the SOC 2, but even for the audience, oftentimes, even just trying to take that leap to be compliant, it's a big effort. It's a big effort, and it requires a lot of coordination and management. How can an organization look at that and manage that?
An incredible amount of effort, and oftentimes even those organizations with an in-house IT department, they may say, yeah, I'll give it to my IT department and they can handle this. You have to understand all the nuances of each one of the different frameworks, or at least having a partnering with a platform, a company, a specialist that knows that information, what does need to be in place and happening per framework, per compliance regulatory rule. And a lot of times what business owners may think of, hey, I've got an IT guy, we'll just give it to them and they'll be able to figure it out. Those days are in my mind kind of waning. Mm-hmm. They need to partner with somebody else. They need somebody like MSP. They need a specialist in there to say, hey, you guys take care of the help desk requests. Let me take care of whether it's project work, the compliance work, making sure that everything is properly saved and stored and documented. A lot of that is oftentimes way too much to put on one person or even one department.
Well, I mean, that brings up a great point, because you have your IT guy, and now the IT guy is now responsible for so much more. Mm-hmm. But are business owners really understanding that person is way in over their head?
Dare I say, you're out of your league.
You wouldn't go to a general practitioner and ask him to do open heart surgery. You're looking for a specialist. IT and technology is the same way. It wasn't just that one IT guy that can handle all aspects of it. Now things have become very, very complicated. They may seem easier to access, anywhere, anytime access. I can access all my SaaS platforms. But in all reality, it's become much more complex and a lot more risks to take on. Are organizations risk adverse? Are they, willing to take on this risk, or are they really serious about, or will they be serious about mitigating that risk?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to be serious about mitigating that risk because there's just so much that is out there. Your example of the practitioner and a specialist is spot on, and the difference being, and a lot of times for those with an IT department, they look at somebody like a specialist in the field as almost like a competition, or there's fear of working too closely together, because a lot of times they think that provider's in here to take my job. Where it's the opposite. You're looking at it, trying to make that person the rock star in front of the business owner's minds, much like the general practitioner is directing you to the specialist, and they're going to take care of you. You look at your general practitioner going, hey, that recommendation you gave me, perfect, spot on. We were able to get this scheduled, whatever the issue was. But that's the relationship we need to look at when it comes to all of the specialists that are out there, and keeping those bonds together and saying, look, I'm here to make you look like a rock star. We're going to do this together. Here's my professional take on this situation, this network, what you need to do to be compliant, whatever it may be. But having that true partnership with all aspects of it, the ownership on down to the end users.
So true.
So true. So true.
The bad actors, they're getting really, really, really good at what they do. And so are the vendors. We're getting ahead of them, and the amount of attacks over the past 5, 8, 10 years are become so prevalent that we went through the steps in protecting data, the business continuity side of it, making sure the data is protected, and it's gotten to a point so much so that now the government is leaning on it, going, you have to do this now, because we're sick of these bad guys consistently winning and exposing those vulnerabilities for those that aren't protected by somebody, for those that aren't adhering to the safeguards that are in place and the continuity that providers are out there doing. So even though that depending on vertical, depending on what a business owner is offering, even though there may not be the stringent voice of the government saying you have to do this now, it's in a few short years. If I come back here in 3 years from now and do the same podcast with you, I guarantee there's going to be a lot more government reach into saying you must adhere to this. The deadline's over. And I heard an interesting stat, and I use it in some of my presentations too. I put everything in a car analogy. Everything in tech you could relate to a car. And if you look at the safety measures in a car, the seatbelt was implemented and mandated by our government to be installed in 1968.
Okay.
First time a seatbelt was said, our government said, you need to, as a manufacturer, put a seatbelt in. It wasn't until, was it 86, when they enforced the use of the seatbelt. So it took almost 20 years for the government to say, you need to put this in your car, the safety measure, and then you need to use that safety measure. We're not at the luxury of 20 years anymore.
Well, great. I mean, we can talk about this all day.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
we absolutely can.
We can talk about cloud and a bunch of different platforms. I really appreciate having you in the studio today.
Yeah, that's great.
Any closing thoughts for the audience?
My biggest advice, and this has been my advice for business owners out there for years, it's partnering with the right company. Having somebody like MPIST in there that has your best thoughts in mind, and moving your network and allowing your technology to work for you instead of against you, and finding the provider that's gonna help you do that.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate it. I love the things that you guys are doing, the whole platform, how things are changing. It's really providing a ton of intelligence to our team, be able to make those strategic decisions for our clients. So we appreciate the great things that you guys are doing over there, and can't wait to see what you guys do in the future.
Yeah, we appreciate having you as a partner of ours. So yeah, likewise.
Awesome, Eric. Well, thank you. Thank you for being in the studio. And audience, please tune in for the next podcast to learn more.